I've sold hundreds of sales systems to multiple 6 to 7 all the way 8-figure companies. Here are 5 things you need to know to actually start making real money with AI and automation. And no, it's not some nerdy theory or some useless AI agent or stacking random automations that don't bring in customers. This is real practical advice from someone who scaled a sales team agency to 105K a month by selling one thing and one thing only: systems that get clients. Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters. My name is Saad. I build sales systems for a living. But before this, I was a nightclub bouncer, then a broke freelancer. Then I got banned on Upwork with over $2,000 frozen. So I took a long walk, found the courage, and I decided to go online and start my own agency. And I've managed to scale it to 7 figures. So if you're a freelancer stuck of sending proposals that never get answered, if you're sick of living project to project, paycheck to paycheck, just like I was, or if you're a beginner that's hungry to skip years of try and error and go straight to building real income with AI and automation, then you need to burn these 5 things in your head. So let's get into it.
Okay, so the first thing you need to understand is that fancy automations don't make money. Boring ones do. And this could be applied not only in automation, but in business or in life in general. It's usually the unsexy things in life that make the most money. And a perfect example of that is Warren Buffett. If you guys don't know, Warren Buffett is a billionaire investor. And he made his billions by sticking to boring, consistent, and proven businesses. Things like insurance, railroads, etc. And this is super common with new fresh automation engineers, and I used to think that myself too, is I used to get caught up in building flashy, shiny automations when in reality, the only question I should be asking myself is, can this get customers? What does it actually provide? Is the end goal a client, a customer, a conversation, money made, or a payment that I'm going to receive in my bank account? So whenever you are building an automation, always ask yourself, what is the actual, tangible outcome that I'm going to get from this automation? And if it's not customers, just throw that in the trash can. The next thing you need to understand, which is super, super important, is clarity sells. If you can't explain it simply, you won't sell it, okay? So you have to understand that the best copywriters and marketers, they're not the smartest people in the room. They're the best at explaining things. And a prime example of that is actually McDonald's. So McDonald's were the best at explaining fast food to investors. So in their pitch deck, they explained McDonald's and fast food in very, very simple terms. And this is how they've managed to get investors to invest in McDonald's, okay? So the person who explains something the clearest usually wins, okay? You don't have to be better. You just have to be clearer. Just because clarity sells. When people understand what you can do quickly, it builds trust and makes it easier for them to buy it. And I always say this, you have 5 seconds, and those 5 seconds will determine whether people are going to be interested or skeptical. So same principle applies to automation, okay? If your prospect has to think too hard to understand what you're offering, you've already lost them. So it's not the person who builds the most complex workflows who wins, it's the person who builds a clear, usually boring systems that deliver an obvious result, like getting more leads, booking more calls, getting in the front of the right decision makers, or closing more deals. The third thing you need to understand is that skill doesn't pay the bills. Sales does, okay? Now you might be wondering, Saad, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to give you a very, very simple example. Now imagine you are a chef. You spend years perfecting the most incredible dish. It's beautiful, healthy, and delicious, but instead of putting it on a menu, describing it, and offering people a taste, you just leave it sitting in the kitchen. You expect people to smell it from the streets and come running, and that never happens, okay? Not because the food isn't good, but because they never even knew it existed, okay? So that's what happens to automation engineers who focus only on building and never on selling. So your work can be a 5-star meal, and what I mean by that is your workflow or your automation could be a 5-star meal, but if you can't invite people in, explain why it's for them, and get them excited to try it, it'll just sit there getting cold. So beginners, automation engineers, or even freelancers who have been doing this for a while usually get caught up in the trap because they're wired to think like this. If I build something amazing, people will just see how good it is and want it. My skill will speak for itself. So they spend all their time making better systems, more advanced setups, smoother workflows, but they don't spend any time learning how to communicate the value of what they built, which is super, this is the most important thing, okay? So the reality is, clients don't really care how smart the system is. They care about what it does for them. Is it more sales conversations? Is it more meetings with decision makers? Is it more clients? Is it more partners? So here's my advice for you. instead of overbuilding, which means thinking more features equals more sales, which is not at all true, or under-explaining, meaning thinking people will automatically see the value, which rarely happens, and under-earning, because skill alone doesn't close deals, guys. Skill alone doesn't close deals. Like, you need to make this your doctrine. You need to make this your mantra. Hell, even if you can tattoo this in your arm, do it. So it's a painful cycle, because the better they build, the more frustrated they get when nobody buys. And this is very, very painful. Like, I talk to freelancers and entrepreneurs every single day, and this is exactly how they feel. So they start thinking, I just need to build it better, when really they need to sell it better. And that's what outbound sales systems are for. The fourth thing is sell the outcome, not the benefits. And it took me a while to actually understand this. It took me a while to understand that if you want people to buy your system or your workflow, you can't just sell the system you've built. You have to sell the outcome that comes with the system. Okay, so people and business owners don't really care about how smart the automation is. They care about what their life looks like after using it, what their identity is going to be like after they start using your system. Okay, is it going to be less stress, more time, more money, or fewer mistakes? And it's usually just more money. Trust me when I say this, it's usually just more money. So, but this is what they're really buying, the future version of themselves that your system gives them. And that's exactly where psychology comes in. This is like basically psychology 101. Because to sell the outcomes, you need to understand how people actually make decisions. And I'm going to quote Benjamin Franklin, and he said, to persuade a man, appeal to interest, not logic, because 99% of people and billions of people make decisions off emotions, and they move because they feel the reward is worth it, or the pain of staying the same is too much to bear. So that's the first rule of human behavior you need to master, and you need to leverage this whenever you want to sell an automation or a sales system. Okay, so it's called the reward and punishment tendency. And again, I can make an entire 1-hour video going through all these cognitive biases and all these tendencies, so just let me know in the comments if you guys want to see this. The fifth thing, and you really need to ingrain this in your brain, is that don't get intimidated by 6 to 7, even all the way like 8-figure companies, because most have no clue what they're doing. And this is coming from someone who's consulted with dozens of companies at this point, and I have worked hands-on with more than a dozen startup sales teams. And here's what I keep seeing over and over and over again. There are massive core inefficiencies, especially in outbound sales systems, and most of these companies don't actually understand sales automation, so you can easily impress them. So most sales teams default to one of the following outbound strategies. And it's either one many, they send generic or at best barely customized emails en masse, better known as the classic spray and pray method, or they send highly customized emails but at a very low volume, because such customizations requires intensive manual effort. And this is the beauty about AI and automation. I can literally just find any company, find their pain point, their ideal clients, if they hit any milestones, their case studies, if they recently got funded, etc., etc. So these companies, they rely heavily on referrals, word of mouth, and AI for them is basically just ChatGPT. So no matter what they pick, their solution is always going to be the same. They just hire more salespeople to try to scale, and this is basically the traditional sales growth method, is hiring more people to scale, even though they're expensive and there's things like salary, benefits, taxes, etc., etc. So with OpenAI and data scrapers, webhooks, and the ability to manage multiple inboxes from a single control center, we've got more tools at our disposal than ever before. So what does that mean for us? It means that it opens the door for taking a pragmatic approach to sales automation, which is exactly what you should be focusing on.
So now we are equipped with the mindset you need to start making shit happen. This is your chance to get ahead of the game, stop spinning in circles, and take control of your future. So get out there, take action, and make your success inevitable. You've got this. I believe in you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.